Happy New Year. 2023. I've been gone for a while. I'm sorry. I ended up getting the COVID, man. It's fine. I'm doing this because I wanted to talk about what I went through being alone and talk about like how you have to kind of treat your body but also understand your what's going on in your mind. It's interesting. In 2019, I'm sure I had COVID twice, but this was before it was a thing. I got sick twice in 2019. Once like in the late spring, I think, and it lasted a long time, and then I was good, and then I got it again in December of 2019, and I was really sick. We didn't really know what it was at the time. It was starting to creep up on the news, and then, but I remember it was December, same time of year, and I didn't start feeling better until like February, and then in March it was a big thing. COVID was a big thing, lockdowns, everything else. Since then, I haven't had any issues, and I didn't participate in that whole pandemic thing. I never had a mask, never wore a mask, uh, never got tested. Clearly, wasn't about to get the shot, and these were my choices, right? My body, my choice, right? And I was fine, and I did a lot of traveling during that time. I was around a lot of people during that time, and never got sick. I had a couple incidents where I had your typical cold thing, like a 24-hour thing or a 2-day thing where I didn't feel great, pulled right out of it, no big deal. I don't know what happened this time, after all these years. And by the way, for those that don't understand, I'm in California, and you say, well, how did you not do the mask thing? I just didn't. If I had to go somewhere, if I was buying material or I had to go to the store or go to the bank or something, I would put a bandana on to make people feel good. But that was it. And my reasoning for it, and I don't want to get too into it, was that I just applied common sense to what we were being told, and none of it made sense to me. And I didn't trust anything that they told us, and which was the right thing to do because now we know what the truth is. And that whole thing with this, I mean, they can't decide if marijuana should be legal in some states, but they're going to push this vaccine through. So, I mean, just the whole thing didn't make sense to me. And we now know that people who got the vaccine still get sick, still pass it on, still die. My mother, perfect example. So I don't want to get into that whole discussion. I just want to talk about what it's like. So when you're alone, so most of you have somebody there to take care of you. I've been alone. And by the way, this is not a woe is me. Oh, you're so alone. Feel sorry for me, all that other. And I don't, no, no, don't worry about me. I'm fine. Either I'm fine or I'm not. And if I'm not, then I'm gone. And if I'm gone, what does it matter? I've been living alone since I was 14 years old. I've had major accidents, surgeries, all kinds of things that I've had to pull myself out of. Nobody there to help me. Last time in 2010, when I broke both my wrists in a motorcycle wreck, and I got a cadaver bone and a plate in my wrist on this one here, and that was kind of cool in a way where people did come out of the woodwork and help me out a little bit. It's kind of hard to do some things when you don't have working wrists, so that was okay. But I was still alone. You just figure it out. In 2019, that second time when I was really sick, I remember I called the gal I went to my high school prom with, who's a nurse, and was talking to her about it. And I called a buddy of mine who's a medic in the military, and they both gave me some tips, and I got out of it. I got through it. Had some rough moments. On this one, I had a couple scary nights because of my mental state more so than anything else. It was interesting because you got cold symptoms. I'm still a little congested right now. By the way, just so you know, this hit me after that last video. I went on Christmas Day. I went out on the water with a buddy of mine and his friend. I came home that night and just had major headache. I mean, it just hit me all of a sudden, out of the blue. Major headache, body ache, like bad. And then I had this chill thing and the fever, everything, boom. Thing is my buddy's taking the COVID test and he's fine. The gal who's out on the water with us, she's fine. So I don't understand where this came from. I thought maybe it was more of a food poisoning thing at first because I also had a stomach flu sort of issue going on. I had like 4 days of just bizarre bowel movements and all. It was just terrible. All around, it was terrible. And I had a sinus congestion thing a couple days into it where I couldn't breathe. And that night was one of the scarier nights in my life, really, because I thought I was going to die. Like, and I felt that way before, but I could somehow sleep at night before. This was different. And it was 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought I was going to have to call 911, but I realized it was more of a panic, like an anxiety attack sort of thing. It was really more of what was going on. And the mistake I had made was taking the COVID test. One of my clients was a great lady. She brought one over to me. And I was like, okay. And it was Christmas time and it's my birthday. And so people are calling me, and family only, I was letting them know, well, I tested positive for COVID. Well, that opened a whole door to my sister being worried, my brother and his wife calling, and they both had COVID and they were both hospitalized with it. So while I don't, oftentimes think, I'm never concerned about my own mortality. I'm fine with it. We're all going to kick off at some point. I'm not afraid of dying. I don't believe that we die. So I got a whole belief system that calms me down. No fear. But that was in my head, and he had me concerned about the breathing thing, and I was having this sinus clogging issue. So that night, it was bad. And I sat up, I had to calm myself down, and I realized I was going to get through it, and eventually, somehow, I fell asleep. But one of the things I was learning through this whole thing is that, it's your mental state is what you really have to be aware of what's going on here in your head, because you can make things worse than they are. And then if you've got nobody to talk to get your mind off of it, you just can compound things, make them so much worse. And at the same time, I was binge watching The Wire. You guys remember The Wire? That TV show is really good, but I'll tell you, it's not a positive thing to be watching. It's great entertainment. It's one of the best shows ever on television, but it's just negative, man. I mean, everybody's just dying. So I realized that's probably not healthy after a few days of that. And yeah, and then I started having the other issue I had. Now, the next day after that, by the way, with the congestion where I couldn't sleep, the next day I was like, okay, I got to get this under control. And I got a neti pot out and started cleaning my sinuses, and that went a long way to making things better. And I've been eating good and all that stuff. But I've been having this issue where I wasn't able to fall asleep at night. And the reason for that is because I'm just laying around. So a couple days ago, even though I wasn't feeling good, I just got up and started working out at night. I knocked out 30 burpees and this, that, the other thing, and was able to make it so I could fall asleep. But it still took a while. And then yesterday I went for like a 2-mile walk, did like 40 burpees. I did my pull-ups, I did push-ups, and all these things to like get my body tired so that I could sleep. And last night it still took a while for me to fall asleep, but there was no more fear, and that's kind of going away. But that lingering anxiety that was there was something. That was really an eye-opener. And it's the first time in my life, at this age, where I started thinking like where being alone isn't as probably smart. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Anyhow, I'm just letting you know. I'm still alive. I'm still here. There's some things coming up with the van. I threw a random misfire code. I did go out there the day after I started feeling bad because I thought I was okay, which might have pushed me over the top. I think that's probably what did it, because I went out, messed around with the van, pulled the spark plugs, had a problem with the doghouse cover, and whenever I'm not feeling good and I physically exert myself at that point in the beginning, that's what will push me over the edge, and I should have been smarter than that. So anyhow, that's going to get sorted, and you'll see that in the next video. But I just wanted to say, thanks for all the Christmas happies, whatever, and the happy birthday stuff. My birthday's on December 28th. Thank you for everybody who reached out on that. Happy New Year. People wonder where I'm at. This is what happened. I just got sick, and I haven't been feeling good enough to I'm sure I don't look great right now either. But I just haven't been up to it. I have not been up to doing a YouTube video. Sorry. Had to take care of myself, you know. That's it for now. Let's all have a better 2023. Thanks again for being here. Good stuff is coming, I promise. More than anything else, I just want to get up off my ass and get back to work. I got to make some money to pay for all the stuff I'm trying to do, but more importantly, I got to work my body. Man, the things rolling through that roll through your brain when you're going through this, and you start thinking about other people. And I think about people who have insomnia, and I realize that if you've got insomnia, you're probably not doing enough physical activity during the day. So that's just a key thing, man. You got to get up off your ass and move. You just got to do it. So do that. Get some sun. Stay healthy. Have a positive mindset. And if you've got people in your life that are there, they're there for you, and they're there to help you and talk to you and all that, count your blessings on that, because it's a very important thing. I've always known that was an important thing, but I've been doing fine without it all these years. It's been a lot of years, so I'm kind of old, in case you can't figure that one out. It's just finally, it's like, oh man, it's the one time, you know. So I don't know. We're gonna have to do something about that. And I'm not gonna get a pet. It's not gonna happen. Anyhow, I'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned. That's it for now.